Welcome to the Sisterly Submitted podcast, dedicated to changing the narrative about dating after 40. If you're interested in candid, unfiltered conversations between men and women, then you found your people. This is the podcast for you.
Welcome. We're your hosts, Diane and Dawn, hopeful romantics changing the narrative about love after 40. We've heard that you guys want to hear more about us and learn about the twins. So what we decided to do was do a Sisterly Submitted takeover today. And the crew is going to put us in the hot seat.
But first, we are going to take a break to hear from our sponsor.
If you were offered the key to unlock the future of your dreams, a life filled with love, prosperity, and pure joy, would you take it? Ruth E. Daniels has developed a plan with the tools you need to unlock the potential within and manifest your dreams. This practical plan, including Daniel's Manifesting Guide, The Glamorous Life, her Book of Affirmations, and the Glamorous Life Journal, work in tandem to teach you step by step how to manifest love, wealth, and a life of bliss. Order the Glamorous Life set today and manifest the extraordinary life you deserve.
So we're using this platform to talk to singles over 40 about their dating journey and really changing the narrative about love after 40. We feel like we have some nuggets to share also. So the crew is going to ask us a little bit about our journey.
Yeah, so crew, go easy on us. Be gentle. Be gentle.
Okay, well, first and foremost, Diane, what made you want to start this community of dating after 40?
I started it because there are a lot of great guys and women out there in our age group. I've met some, Dawn has met some of the other guests that we've had on the podcast so far and that we'll be having this season are great singles over 40. And I just think that we have information to share. We have, powerful stories. And, one is support. When COVID happened, there was so much, we were all kind of hankering down in our homes and we were alone. And there were so many people that were just lonely. My sister and I, we continued to speak over FaceTime and we talked to our parents and everything over FaceTime, but there's just really nothing like human touch and connection. And so really the main idea was creating a community where we could connect with men and women, and not always just for romance, but just to create community with like-minded individuals, people who, want to be healthy, want to have healthy relationships, more than just romantic relationships, just healthy relationships. And, but the caveat is always, if you can find love along the way, that'd be even better.
Okay, so Dawn, when Diane came to you with this idea about this podcast and everything, what were your initial thoughts and how did you think that you two can bring it to life?
Well, it's interesting because personally, 2020 was supposed to be my year. That was going to be it. Oh my God, this is going to be my year. And I was always a person who was alive and lively. I loved, just being out and communicating with people. And when COVID hit, I completely turned, my life changed. And, Diane can attest to the fact that the person that I was, and I happened to be in a relationship when COVID hit, but in a relationship with somebody who I don't think that I was necessarily, that wasn't my person, that wasn't the person for me. And my life just started closing in, it just was closing in on me. And I didn't want to be in a relationship anymore. I just felt like there was too much happening. And so in the very beginning of this whole journey, I was just like kind of you don't want my perspective on this. You really don't want my take on this, because I wasn't in a real place where I was really caring about relationships. I was at the place where, I was just like, no, not interested. But I was like, okay, I want to support her because it's something that she, this is her vision. And so I supported her, and I wanted to be there for her because the platform was sisterly submitted. And, you can't be sisterly submitted out there without your sister. So,
Right.
So I joined her, and, but as we've gone through and we've talked to different people, and I've seen perspective, and my perspective has changed somewhat, because I am more hopeful. And I do feel like, although I'm not at a point today where I'm ready to like get into a relationship and, move forward, I do feel like I want to dream again. I want to see, I stopped believing that person that is going to really make me want to be in love, because I personally have never been in love, or what I believe in love is. And I do believe, though, that God has that person that I'm going to be in love with, and I will know it at some point. And I'll be ready. Not today, but soon.
Okay, so that segues me to my next question is, what does love look like for the both of you? Like, what do you think it looks like, and how does that form show up currently?
So for me, love is a feeling, and it's a choice. So it's both. It's when you actually love someone, there's a physical feeling that the state of love, and especially being in love, it's a way it feels, but it's also a choice, because in order to really truly love someone, you choose to love them, because it's not always easy to love them, so I would say those two things: a feeling and a decision.
And what's interesting about love, and I'm learning, over the last probably year, I learned that love is actually an action word. And that's not something that I ever thought of. But to love is not just, it's more than a feeling, and it's more than a choice. You have to actually be patient. You have to be kind. You have to be tolerant. You have to put another person ahead of yourself. And I've never been married, but I have a son, and I know how to love my son. I know how to put my son ahead of myself, and, but it's about me learning how to do that for my partner, and saying, you know what, this is a grown man, but I still have to, go the extra mile and do something for him in a way that I also hope that he would feel the same way for me. And also getting to the place where I feel like, no matter what happens, I want to stick it out. I don't want to give up on this. I want to feel like, I really care about this person so much that I want to be there for them, in their most challenging times. I want to be there. And I want to know that when we're going through challenging times, that he's going to be there for me too. And I do believe it's out there. I believe it's out there.
That reminds me of the movie with Morris Chestnut and Taraji P. Henson. I can't think of the name of it, but...
Not Easily Broken?
Yes. That movie, I bawled in that movie, because when she talked to him about not knowing how to be there for her man, not knowing, or sort of seeing an example of just being there for him, I was like, oh my God, that's me. I never because our mom and dad were not together, and our mom just isn't that type. I've not seen her be very, stroking of egos and things like that for men. And so we didn't see that. Our grandmother didn't do that. Even though Grandma and John had the greatest relationship, she didn't do that. So we didn't observe that. And today I know men need that. That's what men need. And that's why men who find women that are really down for them, they just love them with everything they have. And I never knew to be that, or I never knew how to be that. And, so like when I saw that movie, I was like, wow. And I literally bawled in the movie theater seeing that and just seeing myself in that character. And I decided that I wanted to be that. I was married at the time too, living in Chicago and married. And I decided that was how I wanted to be. And in future relationships, I think more of me, I was able to give more of that to my partner. And, it's developing. And I think that my future partners will be able to benefit from it.
Yeah, that's interesting. That movie does really show a lot of, and it's a lot of Black women. We are taught to be strong. We have to be able to take care of ourselves. We don't want to have to, lean on anybody else. And because our mother she was the one who was our primary caregiver. She raised us. She was a strong Black woman, and she showed us that, you can do whatever you put your mind to. And because like you said, with our mom, she would say that her parents would say that they didn't say, "I love you." And they weren't affectionate in the way that our mom was very affectionate. And she said that her parents knew that, she knew that her parents loved her because they did whatever they did. They took care of them and they made sure that they had what they needed. And love, though, as a relationship, you want people to tell you and do it. It's right. Like you want to hear it. And just as much as we want to hear it, men want to hear it too. And we always want men to tell us we're beautiful. But how much have you told your husband, "Oh, you look so handsome today"? Oh my God. Mm-hmm. They want that too. And if we don't tell them, whoever is going to be at the office or on their way in the work building, they're going to be like, "Oh, look how handsome you look. Oh, you're looking really good. Oh, you smell so good." Mm-hmm. And that just strokes their ego in a way that they're not getting it at home. And that person could be somebody who you wouldn't think would be a threat. Because you got this degree, you got your degrees, you're all degreed up and you're looking so foxy and, you're all fine and everything. But what are you giving him? And what are other people who are seeing him day to day? What are they giving? So I know I'm learning, and that I think it has to do with your partner, making sure that it's somebody that you really do. Because it's hard to say, "Oh my God, you are looking so fine," when you're like, "Oh God, he is not the one." It's hard. It's hard, But so that's why I'm always praying that I can see something in my mate so that I can be honest and really, authentic when I say, "Oh my God, you look so good. Oh my God, and you just feel like, I'm with him,
Right. Well, I think one of the things too that's important is that if you're with somebody that you don't really want to be with, you shouldn't be with them.
Right.
You shouldn't. I mean, so again, choices. I think when I was younger, if a guy liked me, "Oh, okay, I like you, we're together."
Mm-hmm. We go together.
Yeah. and then I'm off the market and I'm, faithful. So I'm faithful to this person. And
mm-hmm.
I didn't even really get a chance to know them that well before I decided I was with them, and I'm just
mm-hmm.
faithful to them. And so now I think giving it time, maybe a coffee date, who knows?
Right. Yeah.
But having an opportunity to meet somebody before you get into a relationship, so you don't get into a relationship and go, "Oh, I don't really like you that much. And so, I can't give you these compliments because I wouldn't really mean it." So that's something that I think I'm going to be single until I'm ready not to be single, instead of being in a relationship with somebody because they like me.
Yeah, I think some of it too is the intimacy line, because you don't want to go with them, in order to be their partner, you have to get to that place where, there's going to be some intimacy. And sometimes, you get to the intimacy piece and you're like, okay, well, I'm invested now, so I'm just going to stick it out. But
yeah,
and
was
that
in my
happens.
20s and 30s.
Yeah. And so now it's like, maybe we should get to know them before we enter that intimacy piece into the mix, because, guys, they're going to have their people that they're going to have, to be intimate with no matter what. And so once you get to a point, then you can say, hey, together, collectively, okay, so are we going to move on together? And if so, I would like to be the only person that you are intimate with. And, I would expect the same from you. So I think it's just a matter of kind of, if we slow down a little bit on the intimacy and making sure that is the person that we actually do like and that we think that we can be in a relationship with.
Because I mean, we've been in relationships with people that were the wrong person and we knew it, but the intimacy is what kept you together. And so that's, for me, I can speak for myself. That's one of the reasons that I won't engage in basically sex with men that I'm not sure I want to be in a relationship with, because we think differently. Like, if the sex is great, we will overlook some things. Like, it doesn't matter that that isn't the way I want it to be, or this isn't the way, it should be. Sex is really good. So I'm just going to go on and roll with it. And I think one of the things that I'm now doing is just not letting that be a factor.
But the crazy part is, in the ones with the good sex, they're always the ones that are bad for you. In many cases, or you all can't get along. You're like, like you said, it's the sex that'll keep you. But how long? For how long? Mm-hmm. And are you going to be happy? Like, your full, the entire relationship, the full picture.
Right.
Will they be a good father figure? Will they be a good role model, to your children? Or are you going to have to just have them sneak it in the back door,
Right.
So that's not good.
Right. Okay, what else you got?
Okay, so y'all started talking about movies, and it made me think about characters. So can you name like a character from a sitcom, or it can be from a movie, that this would be like, this is my ideal man, and why is this your ideal man?
Ooh. Oh, gosh, that's a good one.
Now, what's funny, it's another Morris Chestnut and Taraji P. Henson, but in the movie Think Like a Man. Mm-hmm. So I, growing up, would have thought the Morris Chestnut character would be that man that I always wanted to be with. Mm-hmm. But the way that character, or their characters, sort of evolved, she realized that being with this guy who's like powerful and is in this, great position in corporate and handsome and all of this, seems like he has it all, but he was so self-absorbed. He didn't care about how her day was. He didn't care about anything that was going on with her. And, I think we said it in another episode, but I thought that I wanted those things. That's the stuff that I thought that I wanted. Right. But if it comes with somebody who's not interested in me or a life together or, giving at all, I mean, I think it should be, I want to give to you and you want to give to me, and we're going into this for something different. And so today, I don't know who I really don't know who it would be, because like that kind of is changing for me. Like, what I thought was like the epitome of like, that is what I want. It's just so different.
Oh, that's a hard one. Like, what character on a movie? And I watch movies. I love rom-coms. So it feels like Boris Chestnut. Boris Kojo. He always, but he's such a great person anyway, but he always plays characters. I know he, on this movie, it was Temptation. He was married to Sharon Leal's character, and he was a great husband, a great father. He had a great job. He's handsome. They had a family. He was kind and caring, but she was having some kind of issues, and she was going out and having like sexual escapades. And through it all, he was there for her until he couldn't take that because he couldn't, believe it. So I would definitely say somebody like him. I just wouldn't do the sexual escapades and and make him run off. But he, I think, like I said, he always plays kind of roles. I think even in a Tyler Perry movie, he was a bus driver. I wouldn't have loved the bus driver piece, but whatever. But the character he played was a good man, a kind, caring man. He saw that she was tired. He let her take a break and take the children out for some ice cream or something. Just saying, hey, she's, a working mom. Let me, how can I help her? How can I lift her up? And so I think that would be like, for me, one of those Boris, I don't know what you want to call him, Boris, just
Kojo.
Morris Kojo. But I love Morris Chestnut too, though. So it's like, I got Morris Chestnut on the brain because I like the way he looks. I mean, Boris looks good too, but Morris Chestnut, it's like the chocolatey, the chocolatey goodness. He's just he's one of my faves. All right. But I love his wife too. So I love them as a couple. So, to be respectful.
We walk in 20-year-old Diane and Dawn and sit them on the couch. What would you tell those 20-year-old versions of yourself about love?
Well, I would say take your time, get to know the person. I rushed into marriage once, my first marriage. The person that I married said that God told him that I was his wife, and we were married within 6 months. I definitely do not recommend that.
Make sure God tells you next time also.
True. But I would just say take your time, get to know the person. It's not a race, you know what I mean? And get to know yourself, get to know what's important to you, and then be open to love.
And I think I would say love yourself first. And whatever you want your partner to do for you, be willing to do that for your partner. Yeah.
So you guys have interviewed a lot of people. A lot of people have sat down on these couches with you guys. Mm-hmm. I want both of you to give me one nugget that sat with you, that stuck with you ever since you spoke to them.
I think for me, two of the guys who came on the podcast, Black men who are successful, who've dated, but are single in our age group, they both said that it's not that they want to be with multiple women. That's not their desire to just be dating around. They both want to have a meaningful relationship with one woman. And I think that's a misconception. I think a lot of people think that men want to be out here dating around. But I think that, there are probably a lot more men than we even recognize who, if they meet their person, because it's the right person at the right time, that they will settle down and marry. And so that to me was really interesting because I always thought, oh, these guys, they've got their choice, it's 20-1, so they're enjoying it. They're, they love it, but that's not necessarily the case.
I don't know. Let me think. There've been so many interesting things. That was what Dawn just said was probably the biggest myth buster, I would say. I think I really enjoyed when Dr. Tracy came on and just helped me kind of understand how my past has created issues for me in relationship to money and how I interact with men. So it was just very interesting to learn about the connection between your past, your childhood, and money issues and how they show up today.
Your relationship to money is how she put it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was interesting. That was a great nugget.
Vassier came on and she said that you guys asked her if her very first marriage affected her relationships thereafter. I want to ask you guys the same question. Did your very first shot at love affected how you treated everybody else after that person? More specifically, the very first time you were in love, did that affect how you treated your partners thereafter?
Well, I'm still waiting to be in love. I've never been married, actually. And I do know that relationships that, go back to like college impact all of my relationships that I've had, after that. Just experiences that that I wasn't always, I didn't feel like I was worthy of certain things. I took certain behaviors and, allowed things to happen that I probably shouldn't have. And, it just kind of played into future relationships. I will say that it took a long time for me to really feel like I was worthy. And for a long time, I was the one who was always making the accommodations, and I was doing things and making sure that everything was good. And I was putting in a lot of the energy in many of the relationships. And then when I had men come back and they were the ones who were, because back in the day, even in high school, Diane made a joke about this the other day. I actually was so bold that I went and I saw this guy that I liked. This was in high school. He worked at the teacher store back in Chicago, and I knew his friend, knew where he lived. I was bold enough that I just went to the boy's house and rang the doorbell. And
This
he
is
was
true.
my boyfriend.
This is true.
Yes. And so I think back and I'm like, wow, she was bold. She had some chutzpah, but now I would never do that. Now I would never just go to somebody's house, just ring the doorbell.
That's a good thing.
But that's just, it's like when I think about who I was at one time in life and, and what I've become, I've changed drastically from that person. But it's because you do go into different relationships. But I think all the relationships that I've had in my early days have contributed to where I am today. But I think that where I am now is probably the most aware place that I've ever been. I've seen both. I've seen myself on the side of being the giver and the provider of love and attention. And then I've been on the receiving end of that. And so I've seen it both ways. And now I'm ready to find a partner that we can both be on the giving and the receiving end.
The first time that I was in love, I was very young. I mean, I was in college, and it was someone that I knew for a long time. We grew up together. And to this day, we're still very good friends, no romance or anything like that. But it's funny because he was a cheater. I was a virgin, like in high school when we were together and part of college. And so he was having sex with other girls, and
You were having sex in high school?
no.
Oh,
I said I was a virgin. Didn't I just say that?
okay.
Yeah. So he was having sex with other girls because I was a virgin.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
And but then we did have sex when I was in college, and he was still having sex with other girls. And he says to me, like, now we're 50 something, and he's like, you wanted me to be like a grown up. I was just a kid, and like thinking we went to different colleges, thinking that he would be faithful was just like, and today, like, I'm like, that was kind of crazy to think a 20-something-year-old guy who was popular and all this stuff is going to be faithful to somebody who goes to another school, especially when that's not having sex. So anyway, but we laugh about it now, but a lot of that, the fact that he cheated on me, that carried, the thought of my partner cheating on me was very like devastating. And I was like, this whole thing, if anybody ever cheated on me, I would leave them. And it was like everything in relationship was based on, and if they cheat, and so that did play into my relationships, moving on, like just that whole, he was not faithful, but he was 20 something years old, you know what I mean? And so it's realistic, I wasn't being realistic, and so today I know, 20-year-old boys can't be faithful to girls they don't go to college with. Even if you went to college with them, he still might not be faithful. So I learned now that it didn't have anything to do with me. He, I'm sure, cared for me. It wasn't a matter of that. But when you get cheated on, you feel like, am I not enough? What is it? And so I think that carried on in other relationships, but I'm not, I'm beyond that. Even so much to the point that when I was in my first marriage, we separated. I knew that my ex had gotten in a relationship with somebody else, and I still was willing to take him back. And I was like, what's this about? Because I've never wanted to give somebody another chance, if infidelity was the issue.
Yeah, infidelity, it can really damage you, because you're like, okay, well, this person cheated. So you just say, well, this is how all guys are, and we don't want to bring that into a relationship because you meet somebody new. They may not have ever cheated in their lives. They might have been completely, but you still have this doubt that's in the back of your mind going, okay, he seems like a good guy, but and good guys cheat too. He could very well be a good guy. He could have a lot of great qualities, but some people are maybe they're just not satisfied. Maybe they're insatiable when it comes to their sexual appetite. And that's sort of one of those questions that you just have to figure out. I mean, they have storylines on television about it. I mean, Halle Berry, you're married to Halle Berry and your husband is, she's Halle Berry. Like if Halle Berry can't satisfy you, like Eric Benet, he had a sexual addiction, and, it's like something that, it just happens. So if you're facing with that, you're going to have issues. So,
yeah. But I mean, and I don't know what changed about me to be able to even say, oh, it's okay. You were with somebody else, but we were separated. I don't know what changed. But for some reason, it's not such a big deal if somebody cheats anymore. And I'm not saying that it's okay or that I will tolerate it or anything like that, but it's just not the end of the world. It used to be the end of the world. It's the end of the relationship. It's the end of our friendship. I don't want to have anything to do with you. But
well, make sure they're protected. I mean, that's like the biggest thing is that
make sure they're protected when they're with you, because you can't control what they're doing when they're with other people. But you've got to make sure that you don't have any unprotected sex, because you don't know.
Yeah. So how was that though? So you all were separated, but still married. So was that cool that you thought?
No, it wasn't cool, but it was just that I didn't want that to end my marriage.
Okay.
And the way that I found out about it was some friends of mine, actually, sorors than friends, they came and they were like, oh, because they had seen us, we had all celebrated this dinner together. And
you and the other woman?
No, me and the friends.
Oh, okay.
And it was like spouses and all this stuff. We went to this this dinner at Morton's, and we all had this great time. And the next time I saw them, they were telling me, we saw him, and this was within a couple months. They were like, we saw him, going on a trip with this girl. And
while you were still married?
Well, we were separated, but they didn't know, because they had just seen us out at dinner, together, married.
Like in what stretch of time? Like
It's like a few months, like a few months. So this was, I think, around Christmas time-ish when we had that dinner. And then I saw them maybe a couple months later.
So Valentine's Day, were you all together or were you separated?
No, we got separated. I came to LA, and when I came back from LA,
Oh, that was New Year's. Y2K.
Right. Yeah. So when I came
Because you got him
back,
a pair of shoes. I remember that. You got him this nice pair of shoes, and then you called me and said that you were getting a divorce or something. And I'm like, wait a minute. And I was listening to Kevon Edmonds. I love that song. I love that whole album he had, 24/7. And you were like, why are you listening to this music? And it's so depressing. I was like, this is depressing? I love this stuff. And you were like, it's, but I think I didn't know what you were going through. So you were like, and then I was like, okay, now it's making sense. Because when I would listen to the lyrics, I'm like, oh, okay.
right. So it was December. It was around the holiday. And so then January is when I came back, basically.
Yeah.
And so
Right after New Year's.
And so maybe it wasn't like as soon as I came back, but maybe a little bit of time had passed, and they were like, oh, we got to tell you something. Because they were trying to be friends. Like, we saw him. He was going out of town, da-da-da-da. And I'm like, yeah, we're separated. And so they were like, oh, okay. And interestingly enough, the girl that he was going out of town was, I don't know if she was the town slut or what, but she
the town slut.
but one of the girls who came to tell me about seeing him, this girl like was pushing up on her husband. So
Oh, okay.
but anyway, so I don't even know how we got on that. But long story short, it wasn't like the end of the world. Here I am thinking, well, God told him that I was his wife, and God actually did tell me that he was going to come back. And so I was like, okay, if this is what
Was he going to bring baggage with him? This lady? Did God mention the lady?
So he did come back. We did reconcile for a while, but it didn't work. And it's never meant to be. But I think
he was going on a trip, huh? With this lady.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just in a car. They were like, they weren't
airport.
going, no.
Okay, because I'm picturing them like at the airport. They're going off to Hawaii.
Probably off
or
to the
something.
beach somewhere in Jacksonville.
Okay.
But the crazy thing about it is, I think I recently shared that I had gotten back together with him briefly. And that,
which was really like a shocker for me, because I'm like, I never would have in a million years would have thought that.
Right. The interesting thing is that I have a son. I gave birth to twins. And in order to do that, I went through IVF. And the reason that I put 2 embryos in was because I thought maybe I would be in a relationship with him, because he said that he wanted to make it work. And then I put in 2 embryos thinking, okay, well, I'm not going to be a single mom after all. And wound up having twins. And the only reason, again, I did it was because I didn't think I was going to be a single mom. And the doctors, I had done IVF 2 times, 2 rounds that did not work, they were not successful. 3rd round, they were like, you probably have a better chance if you go ahead and put 2 embryos in. So I did. And, I was like, well, if I put 2 in, maybe I'll wind up with 1 baby. And so I did that. And I had twins, and I lost 1. And if I had not put in 2 embryos, I would not have a baby today. And so I see everything as coming full circle. And I just trust God enough to know that everything is going to work out for my good. And despite whatever I went through with him, there was a purpose for him in my life. And it was, if nothing else, for my son to be with me, And so it didn't work out. The marriage didn't work out. I would never want to be back with him again, ever. But there was definitely a purpose. And, I'm grateful for all of the, lessons that I've learned along the way.
So do you have a relationship with him at all today?
No.
No, not at all.
No. And I don't care to.
All right, let's lighten up the mood some. Let's play some games. It's game time. All right, we love our games. What are we playing today?
So we're going to play Which Twin is Which? And so the crew is going to ask us some questions and we'll decide, would it be you? Would it be me? Would it be both or neither?
Okay. All right, I'm ready.
All right. So again, to reiterate, so we're going to say which twin is more likely to. You can choose yourself, you can choose your sister, or you can choose the both of you, or you can choose neither. So
Okay.
which twin is more likely to play a trick on their sister's date?
Neither.
Okay. Which twin is more likely to binge watch a new Netflix show?
Me.
Dawn.
Which twin is more likely to skinny dip?
Not
Neither.
me.
Probably neither, yeah.
Which twin is more likely to travel to a foreign country solo?
Probably me.
That would have to be her. Yeah.
Which twin is more likely to climb Mount Everest?
Not me.
Neither. That is not a choice.
Anymore, because you're like someone. Oh, I think I might jump out of a plane or something. You've been doing risk-taking things.
Jumping
lately.
out of a plane?
I thought you said
Never.
you wanted to do that.
No.
Okay. All right. So
Stick with the
neither.
cards.
Neither.
Which twin is more likely to know all the words to a New Edition song?
Both.
All right. Which twin is more likely to apologize first?
Me.
Yeah, probably Diane.
Which twin is more likely to approach a guy they like?
Well, the old me.
Actually.
The old me would have, but probably Diane these days.
Yeah. Like last year, I met a guy on a plane. Remember?
And you just started talking
I was
about.
traveling by myself. I met a guy. She wasn't on a plane, but she went and introduced herself to a guy at dinner. Yeah. I just was like, oh, are you on vacation? I was traveling by myself, and we wound up hanging out during that trip, and we actually started dating.
Nice.
That was my Cougar Cubs experience.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah, the old me, yes. I'm gonna come back though. I'm on the comeback. So give me another year or two. I'll be approaching the guys again. But right now I'm just sitting back because they say he who finds a wife finds a good thing. So I'm just waiting to be found. Just gonna make sure I'm out there though, in the right places.
Well, now they got Ring cameras instead of knocking on the door, so you can leave a message if he's not home.
Leave a message. Ding dong. That's funny. And I had on this T-shirt that said, it was French, because I took French. We were in the French club. We were like officers. And the T-shirt said, Embrasse-moi, je parle français. And that means hug me, I speak French. And so he took French too. And so he gave me a hug. I was like, oh, so sweet. Well, this has been fun. Hopefully the people know, we don't like, I try to be a little,
Mysterious.
yeah, a little mysterious, but we've let out a couple secrets since everybody else was letting out secrets. We thought we should let them get into our business a little bit, just a little.
Right. Yeah. We want to be vulnerable. And if we expect everybody else to come on the sofas and be vulnerable with us, we have to let our hair down too. So it's been fun. Thank you, crew.
Yes, thank you. And by the way, this is a fabulous crew. Mountaintop. Yeah, it's been great. Awesome work.
So no matter where you are on your love journey, whether you're on the sidelines or ready for love, the Sisterly Submitted podcast will have something for everybody.
This episode was sponsored by Fertile Myrtle Publishing. Get your glamorous life set to manifest love, wealth, and a life of bliss. Available on Amazon.
Thank you for joining us, and don't forget to check out a new episode next Thursday. We'll see all you hopeful romantics next time. See you soon.